Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Faux Show. Today is Sunday, June 28th. My name is Angela.
And my name is Chris.
Why do you get a ding?
And an eagle.
And as most of you know, the Faux Show is not a real show. It is, because we insert sounds. Let's see, the Faux Show is not a real show. It's a social experience because we don't look at you.
Oh, what? I have been. Shoot. Oh, that might explain why I have this chat room full screen on my screen. Sorry, if you screwed up, I get it. Okay. Full screen on my screen, and of course, it is contained within the best lower third on the internet.
The monitor over there and my iPad.
When you mess it up, I get to do it. Best lower third on the internet. What's up, lower third? Boom!
There it is.
I noticed you messed it up when Chase is here too, so
no.
I think I'm just gonna have to do it from now on.
It was just weird.
Hey, can I try it?
No.
Let me try it.
You want to redo it?
Yeah,
okay.
Okay, you ready?
All right.
Ready? All right.
Wait, let me get the mouse with the freedom.
No, what? No. No, I get the soundboard.
Okay. Oh, okay.
All right, here we go. You ready, Angela? Mm-hmm. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Faux Show. Wait, what do you say?
Welcome to the internet, your gateway to adventure.
Just got lucky.
No, I looked, and then I give me some.
All right, what do you say?
Do it. You can do it.
I can't do it. I can't remember what you say.
Well, let's just get to the show.
Okay.
Today, we are going to, not really announce something because it was announced yesterday, kind of technically. Actually, it might have been announced like a week ago.
Yeah, bro. Not yesterday, but like at least 2 days ago.
I socialized it yesterday. But anyway, we have a new subreddit, and so we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, it's reddit.com/r/Jupiter And there's some stuff in there. Hey, look at that. I haven't been in there for the last day or so. So I got to check that out.
Yeah, well, we will right here on the show.
Oh, what a great idea.
Yeah, I know.
What a great idea. And maybe we can answer some common questions.
Yeah, and if you have questions, you can either A, go to the subreddit and submit it, or you can put it in the lower third, which we're looking at because we're not looking at you.
Oh,
right?
Shoot, right. I keep forgetting.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason why we created this subreddit was because we wanted to make a response to some recent comments. And I don't know.
Well, I don't know if that was just it.
Well, I mean, we also wanted a general place for people to...
Because I think technically, if you look, the subreddit was created a year ago.
Well, we grabbed it, just like we grabbed WTR.
I think Rikai grabbed it a year ago because he always thought it'd be nice to have a general subreddit for stuff that doesn't necessarily fit to a specific show subreddit.
Right.
And so this, I would say, these comments were an impetus for us to actually go live with the subreddit.
Yeah. Yep. So basically, Rikai wrote a book, but...
Jeez, yeah, he did.
It was in response to comments about how we have technology that we are reviewing in the show or trying out or are part of our sponsors, and people not understanding, like, how can you afford that and everything else, and making a very general association or to
be honest, I don't even really know if I want to go into the details of it.
I know.
I think there was a small minority of people that misunderstood a few things, and if you're curious about it, the details are in there.
Exactly, but
it was essentially, it was a good opportunity to respond to maybe a few common misconceptions. I'd say that's the way to put it, because people who watch from the outside don't always know sort of the intricate details of how things go down or how things are set up or arranged, and so we saw a few misconceptions, I guess, out there, and so that was really what that was. It wasn't even really one specific thing. I would say there are a few long-standing issues that people have talked about in the subreddit that do drive me crazy that I think we'll hopefully start working on maybe like soon.
Yeah.
Like this one. You should read this one.
Yeah. So this person wrote, I've brought this up before, and I know Chris Lass said he was working on it, but I know I cannot be the only one that is driven absolutely nuts by the fact that the Lass logo does not show up in most podcatchers. Yeah. And Chris Lass, is there anything we as a community can do to help you with this?
Do you know what he's talking about?
On phones or devices where you subscribe just to that show and it's supposed to be
the artwork for the.
And what is it?
It's the
or what is it showing?
I think the actual I think the long story, the long version of this, I'll try to shorten it a little bit, is that MP3 feed was around since this sort of spec has changed a little bit, and so it does have an image in there, but it doesn't show up anymore. And what seems to be odd about it, and we use FeedBurner just to generate that, is we go in there and we burn a new image. That's what they call it.
Yeah.
And it never takes.
Oh.
So there could be something wrong with the master feed itself too. So Rikai was busy for
Rikai is all over it. He did He did go back into it and see if we could do something.
Yeah.
But if you still see that issue, feel free to update the thread.
Yeah.
It might be specific to certain podcast patchers at
No,
this point,
it's a feed issue. And once we get this fixed, I
Okay.
would really like to implore that people maybe submit last to their favorite podcatcher. But I don't think a lot of people want to feature it in their podcast directory if it doesn't have a logo.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
It's a
that's
dumb
unfortunate. But all right.
It is a dumb thing.
How about
There was okay. Yeah,
Chris Last Rants?
Okay, read that one.
So am I the only one who is finding the ever more common Chris rants slightly annoying? It's always been a factor of Jupiter Broadcasting, but it seems almost every show now at least one Chris rant occurs. I know he's passionate about the things, but they go on for too long. I'm starting to skip 30 seconds forward when they start now. But Raku Dave, who's in the lower third, made a comment here a day ago, saying, what? The only things I enjoy more than his rants are when Alan explains how ridiculously stupid someone was, or when Angela and Chris have one of their moments on the Faux Show.
Hey, wait a minute. What moment?
So keep ranting. I don't know, just one of our giggle fests.
That's just a mixed thing. It's going to be sometimes some topics will be more passionate than others.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's always, I try to not overdo it.
Yeah. So one thing that I guess we'd like to warn is it's not necessarily a place to go to trash us, but we'll take all constructive criticism but we just want it to be a place where the community can get together and feel like community.
Let's read that one about the HD RSS feeds. Let's read that one there. That sounds like a good one.
Okay. It seems like you can download every video in HD when it's posted, but only certain shows have the HD video feeds. Anyone know if there's a way to get them in HD? Also, if anyone is looking for a good podcasting client that plays videos, check out Vocal. It's fixed a bunch of bugs that aren't in the main build, which you can find here. There's a link. Here is the file which contains all the Jupiter Broadcasting video feeds, so you don't need to add each one to your library. Vocal has an option to import them.
That's cool.
Heck yeah.
So there's a couple of shows I don't think we have HD feeds for, and like most of them are like the audio only shows.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. Except,
It's not super consistent because we've kind of based it on download stats. I mean, the truth of the matter is we do pay for HD.
Mm-hmm.
So I think probably by the end of the year, hopefully we'll have everything HD across the board. Because eventually we got to move from 720 even. So we got to get to that. So it's coming. We probably do that as time and money allows. It's not super expensive for us to do it, but it's going to be additional cost because it's more data to transfer.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So somebody posted the link to the Borderlands Humble Bundle, and there's a whole thread going on here. Somebody's offering a free copy. The first person to reply wins. That's so cool. That is exactly what we're hoping to see,
Yeah, and that subreddit too could be a good spot for Faux Show submissions.
There's my face.
You have a thread there.
Oh yeah,
about
I do.
Yeah.
Let me go.
Pull that S up because for example, the Faux Show doesn't have its own dedicated subreddit.
No, it does not. So, hello, lower third. Remember, if you are working on a summer project and want to share it, you can email your submission to Angela at jupiterbroadcasting.com with your IRC nick, if you have one, a picture, and a brief description. Everyone gets an award. Date of show TBD, to be determined.
Okay, there you go. Okay, so I had a couple that I wanted to read.
Okay.
So let's start with open thoughts about SciByte, which I think is probably a semi-popular one. So he says, okay, so I know we've gone over this. It's problematic due to scheduling issues, but he would really love to see SciByte come back. And I think that's a common sentiment. People really love SciByte. And so this is what I wrote back to the question about bringing SciByte back. I'll just read my own response.
Yeah.
I said, bringing a show back like SciByte would basically require another host in the studio, really. There are tons of ways to crack this problem, but we have 100 problems, and 99 of them are answered by another body in our studio. Solving that problem would not only solve the SciByte issue, but also a bunch of others. We need a hand in the studio with gear, the production, and someone who is current enough on topics our shows cover to sit in for me, that's me, Chris, from time to time so I can take a break or get medical attention, etc. The core reasons we have not brought SciByte back from hiatus is because I don't do well with shows after 4 p.m. Pacific. Unfilter is our last late show in the evening, and in some episodes it shows that I'm really worn out. Doing a good episode requires I put in a certain amount of energy, not just the episode while recording, but before and after the episode as well. The later in the evening it goes, the less I have to give, and the more out of me it takes. I know myself well enough now that if I picked another evening show, it'd probably run me into the ground in just a couple of weeks. So it's back to solve bigger problems, like me, the bottleneck. And so really what I want to do is eventually find somebody, maybe for the summer part-time or full-time, to work in studio to do things like hardware troubleshooting and technical issues like that, or pre-staging stuff for segments, like preloading software. somebody who could maybe grab news stories and stuff and clips for Tech Talk to make Tech Talk a little more fleshed out, or even sit in on Tech Talk with me every day. I'd like to have somebody that could fill in for me on Unplugged if I needed to take a Tuesday off to go to the dentist, something like that. So that's why I want to be able to hire somebody. And then if I hired somebody who's competent to do all those things, they could probably also sit on another show or two, like SciBite.
Right.
So but that means more. That means we need to bring up the revenue in order because paying people is one of the most expensive things you can do, and my options there are essentially sponsorships or Patreon. And so right now we're going the Patreon route at patreon.com/today to see how far we can getting audience funded for that.
Yep.
That's my long answer to that. Okay.
Yeah.
Which ties me into on ad-free funding.
Yes.
He says, so Chris is banking, this is a Q Collective. Now, this is his assumption, not necessarily the truth. He says, so Chris is banking on long-term crowdfunding for Jupiter Broadcasting via Patreon. I agree it's a sound strategy. He goes on to mention that perhaps another route would be to take on a bunch of different, I think, is this the one where he says take on a bunch of different sponsors? No. Yes. He says, now Patreon isn't funding JB 100%. You have Ting, System 76 mentions of our sponsors, and obviously understand the need to have ads. He says, sometimes in older episodes it's painful to go back and see those ads again. Can we have new ads? An off-the-cuff remark, Chris really mentioned off air that he wants to get fully crowdfunded. So I want to talk about multiple different ads and why we have sometimes the same ad sponsors, because I think that's kind of what he was getting at here. I'm trying to skim it while I'm on air, but
yeah.
Yeah. And so we have a lot of times in some of our shows some of the same sponsors. There's two big reasons for that. Well, three, really.
Yeah.
The first one, though, is well, I guess it's not. I was trying to think which one's like the most important reason. I don't really have a list of importance. So not by list of importance. But one of the things about our sponsors is we truly just pick the sponsors that we really like to work with, the ones we use the products for. So we can't have infinite sponsors because we can't use infinite different products and give you our genuine opinion on them. You notice when we talk about these things, we really use these things. And I think that makes a big difference because we use them over the long term too. I'm like over 2 years now in on Ting, right? So I've now have an experience of a long-term customer's Ting when I'm talking about it. So that's number one. Number two is it is a lot of work to line up a sponsor. I just lined up a new sponsor for this Sunday's Linux Action Show. That took a lot of work to get that, and that was a really great one. Like they were really great to work with. They were very straightforward, no issues at all. It still takes days and days of work. Well, that is literally time I am not spending working on a show. Simple as that. I'm not working on content. I'm not even thinking about the show. I'm not recording a show. I'm making phone calls. I'm making deals. I'm selling. I'm emailing. I'm calling. I'm not working on a show. So if I had new sponsors all the time, I would either basically be doing that full time, not working on shows, and be constantly swapping that out, working on the new promo codes, there's so many semantics. You guys have no idea. Unless you've ever been in client services, where you've had multiple clients and you've managed them, then you kind of might know what I'm talking about. But if you've never been in that kind of industry, you have no idea how much work it is, but it's nuts. So I don't want to spend all of my time doing that. So then there's a third route you can take, and it's pretty popular. There's a few good ones out there. There's ad agencies like PodTrack, or like Dan Benjamin's ad agency, or like The Standard, another ad agency that does a lot of the Mac podcasts out there. Burlberry, whatever you want to call it, Tad Cochran's network that does a lot of the bottom feeder. A lot of podcasts out there. There's a lot of different ways you can get another company to buy sponsorships for you. But it has all of these downsides. One, minimum they're taking a 30% cut. Some of them take as much as a 70% cut. Second thing is they're detached. You're now removed from the sponsorship selection process. They go out and find the sponsor. They go up and set the promo codes. There's no relation to what actually works for your audience. There's no selection on what's going to, hey, are they using Linux on their back end? Are these people supporting open source projects? That would never be part of the consideration. That would never be part of the conversation. It would be brought to me, and I would take a deal, and then I would just sell it to you, and it would be things like GoToMeeting, GoToMyPC, and Squarespace all the time.
What you hear on all the other podcasts. Yeah,
and to me, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. So what I would rather do is build long-lasting relationships with companies I actually use and you can trust that we use, ones that you can try, that have a bit of a symbiotic relationship in some way with our content, but don't influence our content. Seems to be what we've struck that balance so far. And then instead of adding more sponsors like that, I'd like to add more patrons. And I'd like to do more crowdfunding, because when we're creating a new show, like Floss Unplugged or How to Linux, I prefer the conversation to be, how do we make this a really tight show that gets a lot of information across that the audience really likes? I don't want to have the conversation, at what point are we fitting in the ad spots? Are we going to start with an intro segment here, then toss to a sponsor read, then come back up with the setup, and then go to the next sponsor read and do the full read, and then come into the content? That's not the conversation I want to have when I'm making a show. It's a conversation I'm fully capable of having. I've had it many times, and I can still have in the future. But the conversation I'd really rather have is, what's the audience really going to fucking love? That's the conversation I'd rather have. And if I'm pointing at the patrons over at patreon.com/today, that's the question I'm asking. If I'm pointing that show at sponsors, I'm asking, what is the sponsor going to really love? How are we going to sell this to the sponsor? And so that's why we have a lot of the same sponsors, and that's why we're also focusing on Patreon funding. That's a long answer, but it's the truth.
That, and we have done a very good job over the years by, once we started taking off, by varying our income so that if any income source is lost, we're not crippled. And that is super important for being able to retain our hosts and be able to do the things that we do.
I guess, was that a rant?
Yeah, a little bit. Just, yeah, that's funny. No, I mean, you're answering a question in the form of
I don't think a long, constant, cognate thought process can be considered a rant every time. I'm sorry. It just doesn't count.
Yeah.
All right, next one. You got anything else in there you wanted to? 'Cause God, it is getting super hot in here.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And that's with, I had the AC cranked in between shows.
I know.
We have a little portable AC unit in the studio that obviously we don't run while we're recording because it's very loud. So when we're setting up between shows and the mics are off, we turn it on and close the studio up and try to get it cold in here. Yeah. But it only lasts for about 10, 15 minutes.
I should have powdered.
Yeah.
I'm all like glistening.
Yeah, I'm getting shiny too. All right. I feel like those are some big ones.
Yeah. I haven't refreshed. But so if you want to add to that subreddit, you feel free to either comment or new post. And over here in the sidebar, there's the other ones. If you didn't know, we have a Coder Radio, a Tech Talk Today, Linux Action Show, TechSnap, and Unfiltered. As well. So
yeah, and there's the new multi-Reddit's been updated with that. Yeah.
Is that a...
Click it. So that's where it shows you all of the Reddits together.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a Bitly, but I'm not sure how I'm going to add it all together.
See, there you're looking at Coder Radio, Jupiter Broadcasting, Jupiter Colony, Linux Action Show, Plan B Show, TechSnap, Tech Talk Today.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You had one. Oh, I didn't know there was a Jupiter Colony one.
I don't know. I don't know if we use it for anything.
Not found.
Yeah, there you go. So subreddits, not everybody out there is a Redditor, but if that's it's so here's how I think of it. Reddit.com/r/Jupiter Broadcasting or JupiterBroadcasting.com/Reddit.com. Wait, just say it. It's easy to go JupiterBroadcasting.reddit.com. Okay. Yeah, instead of the whole /r thing, it's just all tangled. Right. Back in the day, we used to have a forum called Jupiter Colony, and we had sub-forums for each show, and then we had a general comments forum. That's kind of what we have here. We have subreddits for individual shows, and then we have a general comment subreddit. If it's a bunch of bitching, I don't know if I'll be in there very much, but it's still a good place to give us feedback.
Yeah, it definitely is, and for the community as a whole. Like, if you want to, get a feature on one of the things that play our shows, it'd be a great place to go.
It could also eventually become a spot for like maybe people to meet up or something. I mean, like if it's just general cross-show stuff, it could be just community stuff as well.
Yeah.
Could be a good spot for the Faux Show audience to hang out.
Yeah.
Go in there and clean that place up a little bit. So JupiterBroadcasting.reddit.com and have at it. So with Faux Show's back, we're planning to be back as far as we know, right?
Yeah.
We'll just keep the calendar updated, JupiterBroadcasting.com/calendar. When you have 3 kids, sometimes it's hard to always make it work. And we have 3 kids.
Yep.
That's true.
Turns out.
Yeah. But just check that. If we're on right after the Linux Action Show. And don't forget about the summer projects. Send that in to Angela@JupiterBroadcasting.com. A picture and a description of what you're working on or what you have worked on this summer or what you will be. And your IRC handle if you got one, or a Twitter handle, or whatever you like to go by. Maybe it's a name.
Yeah, but be sure to email it, right? Don't do it on the social sites and tag me, because I just want to go to my email and have all the submissions there.
If it's a video, upload that video to YouTube and email her the link to the video.
Yes, don't send me videos.
Yeah.
I mean, send me links to videos, not videos.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, well, that is it for this episode of The Faux Show. We'll see you next week.
Did you enjoy this Faux Show? Well, guess what? You can catch more at JupiterBroadcasting.com and subscribe to the weekly RSS feed.
Oh, come on. Oh, yeah. You do know it. You do know it way better than I do. I forgot there was an extra beat in there where you don't turn. I'm all like, oh, man, that's funny. Yeah.
FauxShow.
Are we recording? Are we recording?
Yeah, dude, you see two
Okay.
red lights or do you see one
it's-
red light?
Why don't they make it like
I don't know.
obnoxiously
I don't know.
big?
Why don't they have a, you know what, if they sold a $100 USB red light.
Yes, right? Just
I bet.
an accessory?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like even home phones had that. Remember the one that you had?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like when somebody else is on the phone.
Sure.
Is it?
Sure. I know.
All right, it's getting warm. I do like it dark.
The bigger, better, blacker IRC.
There we go. Don't forget to bang suggest.